and they don't necessarily know why they're hurting. And there's actually a very explainable reason why they're hurting. We know, I know, Bitcoiners know, but the average normie probably doesn't fully understand how bad the Fed is and what they've done. And so, the book tried to lay that out and explain to them why it's important for them to learn about Bitcoin, because it's a protest vote against their system. I mean, if we're successful, we'll take their system down. And it's also a self-defense mechanism to protect yourself, because if you're trying to save money and any other vehicle, you're getting diluted in a crazy fashion because they keep printing. So yeah, and sometimes anger will spur people on to start taking action. So I want people to take action.
Yeah, and let's talk about that moment for you personally. I think in the book you make it clear 2008 was the
that was
radiation.
it. Yeah, that was really it. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it's you grow up, and at least in my case, I grew up learning about investing in business school and capital asset pricing model, interest rates and macro and all that stuff. And it's kind of like when 2008 occurred, what it really was, because, I see the country I grew up in, and it was a fairer, better country than the one that my 20-year-old kids are growing up in. And so, I think that's probably more than anything else what spurred me to write the book. I just thought I understand this very clearly. And because I understand it, I felt compelled to explain it, and explain it in a way that, somebody who's, like when I tested the book out on some people early days, I started to, in fact, my wife was reading, she said, well, what's the Federal Reserve? And I was like, oh, okay. I got to explain that, right? I mean, because I really want it to be readable by anybody. I want any American that knows that there's one thing all Americans know, and that is they go to the grocery store and their bill's going up. It's driving them nuts, drives me nuts, drives everybody nuts. It's terrible, right? But, very few people can really fully understand how and why it happens, because it's subtle, it's complex. And if you listen to Elizabeth Warren, it's because the grocery stores are greedy, which is, not the case at all. But so I thought, well, somebody's got to explain this. And that's 71. There was some loose link between gold and the dollar. And of course, when Nixon broke that, then all hell broke loose. And one of my favorite charts in the book is early on in the book. There's a chart that shows kind of inflation from 1789 to 1971, and it's going up for sure, but it's little blips, and they tend to be around wars, and they were somewhat self-correcting. And then in 71, the thing just takes off like a rocket ship and goes straight up. Yeah. And so, because when we went on a total fiat money standard, government determined they could print whatever they wanted. There really are just no restraints. I mean, and that's only proven, to be worse and worse. I mean, I thought the COVID print was pretty amazing. I thought the amount they created was amazing. I thought the increase in the expenses was amazing. And what happens, and this is the part that's so interesting, Rob, is it's like a ratchet. It never goes backwards. There's a part, where Greenspan says he really enjoyed the power of being the Fed head. And I'm pretty sure Jerome Powell likes that too. I mean, so I think these guys are too smart not to understand the implications of what they're doing, and that they're kind of, working for the insiders. And then, post being on the Fed, they go out and they get huge fees. I mean, Janet Yellen gets $7 million as speaking fees. I mean, what does she have to say that's worth $7 million? I mean, that's just kind of a backdoor bribe. So, I mean, first of all, the one thing I will say, some people say, well, what would you have done if you were in the Fed? How could you do it? I mean, nobody, God himself couldn't do the Fed well. I mean, the interest rate should be a market set rate. And what it does is it should balance the supply of savings with the demand for investments. So interest rates should be discovered in the free market. There really shouldn't be, a Federal Reserve. I mean, the whole notion and the fact that there is a Federal Reserve is what got us into all this trouble, because, there's a bigger problem here, which is the monetary problem. I mean, you had a debate between Kamala and Trump, and nobody mentioned the debt. I mean, nobody. It's probably the biggest threat to the country right now that exists. And yet it's kind of kicked off into the side of the room, and nobody's talking about it. Even Trump and Warren are saying maybe we should just get rid of the debt limit. And they probably will. I mean, it's always been kind of a joke anyway. But I mean, the point is, they'll try. I mean, witness Doge. I mean, noble effort. Good aims, et cetera, et cetera. But even Elon got fed up with it and said, you just can't do this. I mean, it's just not going to work. It's also just baked in the cake, and it really. It's a very, very broken system. And so I think the history of broken systems like that is they'll run as long as they can until the whole system implodes, and then we'll be forced to restructure it, based on sound money. At least I hope it's based on sound money. If we don't, then the pain's going to continue.
And so with your plan,
to answer your question directly, I mean, I think the millennials get it. I think the Jack Mahler, generation, my kids get it. I mean, I think, and that's because they're really suffering. They can't buy houses. Their cost of living is going up. They see, they're racked by inflation, and they're logical. And so, anybody who's logical, I mean, you can, if you explain it to them, and this is an innovation, Bitcoin, that is, this is an innovation. It's a form of money with a limited supply. The problem that we've got with this inflation is that we've had unlimited supply of money, and therefore, we've got to transition the system to a system where the government can't print money. They tend to get it pretty easily. So, and by the way, it's probably your generation. I'm not sure how old you are, but you guys are the generation that will fix the world, because it's kind of like, it's clearly broken. We don't like it. It's not working for us. We hate the boomers. They've stolen our future, and many of them have. And, hey, they're too, I mean, look, I don't particularly like Bernie Sanders and AOC, but I, some of the comments that Bernie makes, he's not wrong about the system being broken and unfair. I mean, he's not wrong about that. He's wrong about the solution, but he's not wrong about it being broken and unfair. I think that, sound money people in the middle to left, or, in the middle to right, or wherever we are. I mean, I'm a libertarian, but, and liberal people, in the AOC and Bernie camp, can actually kind of agree on one thing, and that is, this is broken. This is really messed up. Now, sadly, those people on the far left have convinced folks that it's because of the billionaires. And look, the billionaires got a lot of their gains unfairly, and so that's true. But even if you tax them all to death, that wouldn't solve the problem. The underlying way to solve the problem is to definancialize the economy by having sound money. I think they're not, they're tail events today, but I think they're going to become more and more probable events as if the politics unfold in the way that I just described.
And another interesting driving force of this era that's really just emerged in the last 2 years is AI, right? And it's been fun. It's been cute. We've had chat boxes and image generation, but now it seems as if, it's coming for your jobs, right?
That's what Jeff Booth points out. I mean, it's this brilliant insight, is that we're trying to run a monetary system that requires, increased growth and increased credit expansion on a technology-based economy that's relentlessly deflationary. And, if AI replaces jobs, people are out of work, things, we've got all, and don't get me wrong. I use ChatGPT, I use Grok, I've used a few of the other ones. They're great. They definitely add value. They definitely move the needle forward. But, the amount of capital that's going in there in terms of, power and investment and everything else, it strikes me that it reminds me very much of the .com stuff in the 2000 era, where, everyone thought we would never have enough bandwidth, that the internet was going to take over the entire world. And, there were all these companies were putting in bandwidth that went bankrupt, called, WorldCom and a few others. And these companies, large tech companies now are shoveling billions and billions of dollars into AI and AI powers stuff. And in the thought that it's going to be so important and it's going to take over the world. And I think the answer is it is going to be important and it will change the world. But I think we're a little bit ahead of ourselves here, because it takes, I started in that area in the early 80s. The IBM PC was released in 81. And I knew that was a big deal. I knew, even though Ken Olsen said there would never be a need for personal computers, I took the other side of that, and I was like, no, this is going to matter. I saw Lotus 1-2-3 demoed at my business school in 82, I think it was, and it was a spreadsheet. And I had just finished a couple of years on Wall Street of running numbers by hand and putting them on a green tablet, And here it did it instantly on a spreadsheet. I was like, oh my God, that is really powerful. And so, what you look for is just applications that are, better, faster, cheaper. And the PC just brought thousands of those, from the early 80s till today. It was, originally everything was users, applications, adoption. And I've seen nothing that indicates that it's slowing down. In fact, I would argue it's the other way. It's kind of accelerating, modestly, but accelerating. And so, that tells me that, just let this play itself out. And then, I think most people in the world now know what they've heard of it. You'd have to be living in a cave. Well, in the Western world, I should say, in the developed world, you'd have to be living in a cave to not be aware that Bitcoin exists. Mm-hmm. But I would say that the people that know that they need it, the percentage of those people who know that it exists, that then also understand that they really need it, I mean, still, what has it got to be? 1%, 2%, 5%? I mean, it's small, right?
Yeah.
And I think that what's going to happen is, the part that doesn't know they need it, they're going to learn that they need it. Thing isn't that important, but so I can see both sides of this argument. I think that it will become, first of all, it's growing as a medium of exchange. I mean, all the Bitcoin shows I go to, I just buy things out of my Strike wallet, on Lightning. And you're seeing more and more medium of exchange use cases. So and in third world countries, actually, it's pretty heavily used as a medium of exchange. There's a part of my book where I talk about Nairobi, where they've got a terrible currency, and a lot of people are conducting their lives on a Bitcoin standard, using Lightning wallets. So it is there. The medium exchange piece is there, and I think it will continue to grow as time goes by. And I think that it's just another way that it'll creep into everybody's consciousness. I mean, and I think eventually it will be the medium of exchange. I think eventually the dollar will be gone. It'll be kind of a relic.
Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and enabling post notifications for more content on crypto and digital assets. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps with the YouTube algorithm and keeps the content coming. Thanks for your support. Enjoy the video.